All right. Hello, I'm Shelby, and I'll be hosting today's community call. I'm the content marketing manager for Passbolts, and before we kick off, just going to talk about a few guidelines. I'd appreciate if we all muted whenever somebody's talking, just to prevent disruptions. That being said, feel free to ask any questions or raise your hands at any time to interject with anything. And the chat box is always open for any participant. The goal today is just to interact with the community, have an open discussion, and then give you guys some insight into what we're working on at Passbolt. We're going to start with trying to find my agenda now because I have a million tabs open, I swear. We're going to start with our contributor shout out. Our contributor of the month is Duffman. He's a very consistent member of the Passbolt community, and we're always happy to see him posting and sharing and interacting with other members of the community. So thank you, Duffman.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. Thank you, Passbolt.
Yeah, thank you. And now I have some announcements, just general things, mostly about events. As you've probably seen, on Saturday, we're having the Cake Fest satellite event in Luxembourg. That'll be at Technoport. If you're attending, awesome. If you're not, that's also awesome. But um, enjoy, basically. And we'll have a recap of that and some other information coming soon as well. Uh, and then another event we're attending is All Things Open in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that's October 15th to 17th. You might have seen that we're giving away some free tickets. If you'd like to enter, all you have to do is comment on a post that's on the community, and we will be choosing the winners shortly. And another event that we're attending is ITSA in Nuremberg, and that's on October 10th through 12th. If anybody else have any announcements, you can. Yes, Remy, you are muted.
And we'll be coming at FOSDEM also in February, which is like a little bit further, and the OS6 experience, the open source experience in Paris.
Yeah, December.
In December.
Yeah.
Busy people.
Yeah.
Globe trotting.
Cyber Day in Luxembourg.
Yes, but it's like local event. It's like local barbecue event.
Still counts.
Yes.
Okay. And then we're also attending, just for information reasons, not at all an invite. We're going to a FIDO meeting in San Diego, so we'll probably post some of the findings that we get or some insights from that as well. And I think that's all we have for announcements. So I'm gonna pass the mic to talk about passphrase. I think Juan, you're gonna cover that. Passphrase policies, which is a new feature in 4.3.
Yeah. But I just started my computer, so because I commuted, so I don't have something to present right now. I can do after if you want. If you can switch your agenda.
Okay. So we can just switch to Benjamin presenting on TOTP features.
Yeah, I could present TOTP on the web interface. Okay, so let me share on screen. Okay, so for the web interface, now we can see password with TOTP or just TOTP alone, a standalone TOTP. We can see the TOTP, and we can copy it and use it on a website if you want. We have the rotation, and I think it's the first step to add the TOTP on the web interface, and we'll see the next feature for the next release later. So it's a good step for the grid to add some different resource at TOTP, and we can also hide it if the user don't want to show it, or just show it again. So yeah, this is a very short presentation, but yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, so this is another step towards making TOTP more of a across all platforms kind of thing, and making the usability more accessible. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Max. He's just shaking his head for some reason. He's in a train. It's cracking me up. Thank you for showing that, Benjamin. And Juan, are you ready now?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's Juan with the passphrase policy update.
Okay. So a new feature, we are on the 4.3. We're right now preparing the release on the cloud, which is planned for Monday. So we'll have that on the cloud. It's been already featured in the packages. So here we have now a tab in the administration panel where it is possible to define the password policies. So technically, when I create a new password, we have here a shuffle, and it's possible to auto-populate the password. So this is going to change the default policies at the organization level of the population of password. So we can, like that, the administrators can raise the level of entropy by default of passwords. So here, if I change the settings, here we can change the settings. We can set the default password type to being a password, which is the default case, or to a passphrase. We can define the default length of the password, whatever characters can be selected. And yeah, that's it. So if I save the settings here, I probably have to sign out here because the Bext needs to reload the settings. This is on the cloud, and this is a dummy entity, dummy organizations that we have created. So you haven't seen my private passphrase. If I create a new password, when I auto-populate, now I have a passphrase of the length that was defined by the administrator. So it's possible to make it shorter, but the default settings like that can be set by administrators to enhance the level of requirement in the password policy. So it was a bit longer than Benjamin's presentation, maybe 30 seconds.
Juan, if I might interject, can you actually show the passphrase policy stuff? Just I think we've talked about password policies and everything, but we haven't really covered like more of a look at passphrases, like just passphrase policies. So
sorry, then I don't. Okay, here. You mean that that part?
Yeah. Just to look at what we've included.
Okay, so it's not something I've implemented, so I'm not completely aware of what was the latest changes, but that was this part. Or Benjamin, maybe you can tell me more.
Both Luxembourg and Max raised their hands. I don't know if that means that they have something to add or
Yeah, if we may, basically this was the password policy, and we wanted to show the user passphrase policy, which is defining the minimal entropy for your user passphrase, the one that is associated with your private key, which is a little bit different from what you showed. And I can see in your in the sections that you don't have it. It's something that's supposed to be in. So it's this passphrase that you can define the minimal entropy.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll show that in other videos
Next
I
time.
can, if you want, I can just show the screen. I have it on my local environment. If you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
So this is the screen for the user passphrase policy. So the goal is to choose the minimal entropy for a user. So we can choose it with a good entropy to prevent some weak passphrase. So if I save the settings and if I want to, I can show it maybe in the passphrase in the profile, but also if I create a new user, it will need to have this minimal entropy to secure his passphrase.
Okay, thank you. And Juan, you're still sharing your screen. I don't know if you intended to.
Well, I can stop showing my screen, but at least you can see that, yeah, I downloaded the latest Bex version. I'm on Firefox, so I confirm what Benjamin says. It's there.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay, thanks, Benjamin, for rescuing me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions about TOTP or passphrase policy? Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to Pierre. He's going to give us a deep dive into the Windows desktop application that he's been developing and working on, and that we've really been digging into.
Okay, do you see my screen? Do you hear me first?
Yeah, we can hear you and see your screen.
Okay, so thank you everybody to be there. We'll speak about first the architecture that we have put in place, because it is very important to understand the strategy that we did and that you are doing actually. So first, what is new means that what we were not using in Passbolt as a technology. So now we're using Universal Windows Platform, LWP, which one is a Microsoft architecture technology. It allows us to create some desktop application, but you can create Xbox application and so on with it, but we are focused on the desktop application. It's the evolution of WinUI. I think a lot of people which one was developing on Microsoft knows this technology. And the advantage that you have with this technology, it is close to the operating system. With it, you are using WebView 2. So WebView 2 is a Microsoft technology too. In the end, it's a Chromium web engine. Is in the end an edge light, if we can say like this, which one will display through universal Windows application, some web views, and we will develop a bit more after. But it is very important because it allows us to provide more flexibility and customization. So on the right, you see that you are using the style guide and the browser extension code, and it is a good tools. I mean, technology WebView 2, because we can integrate the style guides that you have on the web version and the browser extension code that you have on the Bex actually, to validate the user experience that you have both in the web application will be the same on the desktop application, and same for the security model that we trust on the browser extension. So basically, the companies and applications which ones are using those technologies are Teams for sure, because it's a Microsoft tools. But since the version 2.0, they improved the rapidity, the fast of the application. WhatsApp is doing that, Outlook, and so on. So it is a global view of the desktop application from Passbolt. So as I said, we have actually this application, which one is an WP, and we will launch 2 web views. The first one will be the rendered, is the one which one is that the user can visualize. So it is a side guide, the same that you have with the web application now. And we have the broad background web view, which one is indeed a web view on JavaScript, and is there that we will proceed the cryptography and so on. So it's the same strategy that you have on the BEX. And the application on the WP, will be the only layer which one will be able to communicate with the operating system. So about the process and the security, I will develop how it works behind it. So when you will launch for the first time or your application, or even when you will launch your application anyway, the first 2 tasks, that's the main, which one is the C#, the AWP application or C# application is the same, will be to copy the file system into a local folder application inside the application. What is very important and why we are doing that is that we have some restriction about the security provided by Microsoft. So the AWP is not able to write or delete a file during the execution because the file system is protected. So we are doing that by copying the different web view files that you have inside dedicated and isolates folder inside the application. And then we are doing a check inside the credential lockers, because we are storing some configuration inside these credential lockers. For example, as I told you, we were using some web views, and they need to have some URLs. And it is there that we will store this configuration. So if it is not existing, we will generate it, and I will explain it a bit about this virtual host on the next slide. But we will generate, or we will create this virtual host. So about the virtual host is very genial tools that we have in AWP. So it allows our application to create some private host inside the application, which one is not reachable by an external user. So it means it is only on the application that it is running. So for example, here you have one of the Web 2 URI, which one will be for the rendered, for example, and we will launch a virtual host for this URI. Same for the background, we will launch another virtual host for this background. So as you can understand and see, we have 2 different URI for the different web views. And it is important because it will allow us to avoid to share the same local storage, the cookies, and so on. And this URI will be generated by a random UID, and we will concatenate the trusted domain. When this virtual host is launched, and we will launch after the different web views, which one will point to this virtual host. And it means that, for example, because I did a mistake there, but for example, if the background web view wants to access to the virtual host of the rendered, he cannot, because he has to point to this URI, and they are isolated both together. Same the example there, if an attacker wants to go to this URL outside of the application, he will have a 404, and this is nice. Another step that we add inside this virtual host is a virtual folder. So it means that inside the virtual host, they have a dedicated folders for each applications, and it will allow to isolate this folder from the different virtual hosts and the external applications. So it's exactly what you are doing. Actually, only the main can write and remove file inside. So I will a bit develop this part after. And the rendered cannot access of the folder from the background web view, for example. They are totally isolated, and which one is very nice because it will allow us to mount and unmount an application during the process of the application. So now the application is we have the web views URLs and so on. So now how it proceeds. So the main will create first one application. That depends on the state. If you don't have an account, we will create an import application. So we will write the different files inside this folder that I just said to you. If it is an authentication, it will be the same. We will do the same, and we will apply some CSP. In importation, not yet, because we don't have the trusted domain, as you know, but in the authentication application, when we rewrite the different files inside this folder, we will apply on the index HTML the different CSP, like the trusted domain, the pawned password, and so on. Which one, not so in the authentication, sorry, but in the trusted domain will be the only reachable API outside of the application, and it will allow us to be dynamic. So take the example of the fact that we finished to import an account or an authentication. The domain will be informed that he has to raise a navigation, and in this case, the importation application or the authentication application will be removed from the folder that I just said. So it means that if later you want to reach some events from there, it will not be accessible anymore because the application is not there anymore. And we will create a workspace with a dynamic CSP. So for the rendered web view, it will be only the trusted domain for the image, and for the background, it will be only the trusted and the pawned password service, which one will be reachable. So when we speak about the isolation, I think you understand that the virtual host is good for it and so on. But what's happened really to have a communication between them is that we have the main process, which one will be the middleware, if we can say like this, and we will have the rendered process web view, which one will raise some IPC, so is inter-process communication to the background web view. They are not able to communicate together by this IPC. Only the main process is able to do that. And let's say that the main process is like the checkpoint Charlie. His role will be to take care of security first, because we want to avoid, for example, a web view to navigate to, I don't know, a website which one looks like Passbolt, and they will retrieve the different credentials. So we have a navigation control of the different web view. For the rendered, there are many URLs allowed, like, as you know, we have the workspace, users workspace, and so on, which one are the different URL allowed. And on the background web view, we just have one URL, so it's not able to navigate for him, unfortunately. And if you are in an URL, you try to, to open a DevTool or something like this, the checkpoint Charlie, the main process will totally cancel this operation. Same for the navigation, and depending of the fact that if you are on an authentication application, you will not be able to raise some endpoint in the background web view because it's not allowed by the event, and the event is not listening anymore. Same for a new window event. If a user tries to access the application and open a window, in this case, we lost totally the control. We avoid it by removing, handling the event and cancel it. And the IPC is strong. It's the same than the port that you have between the style guide and the text. And the idea is to have a list of what we can do. So it means that if you raise an event which one is not authorized, the application will crash, and it will and we will stop the application directly. And finally, we have a new security layer, which one is the external call to the different APIs. So we are able to catch, for example, the rendered or the background web view, which one we do an API call to, I don't know, a service. And you are just allowing the API, so the trusted domain, and the pawn password service to have a call. So the background web view and the rendered can just call it. Just the background for the moment. The rendered is not able to call nothing. But for the background web view, we have this control that we have put in place. I will speak about the importation because it's a new feature that we introduced during the version 0.3. And I will explain a bit how works the flow that you have created, because it's totally different of what you have currently on the web version. So actually, you are able to export your account through the web application. So the web application will export an account. It is a .passbolt file. This .passbolt file is signed. So when you will upload it to the rendered process, the rendered process will send it to the background web view, and we will verify if the account is signed with your private key or not. In case it is, you continue and you have to validate with your passphrase. And it is when we validate with the passphrase that we register 2 entries. We have 1 entry for the account information. So it means that you have the public information that you will see when you will log in. So for example, your name, username, and so on. And some private security information, which one will be the private key. We are not storing the passphrase for some security reason that we are not trusted 100% the credential locker. And then you will have this authentication flow. So what will come next? Multi-factor authentication will be the next feature. So we worked during this sprint to move some code which one was present to the API to the BEX. We are not so far to finish this managed MFA provider. For the authentication, we are not so far. We are just missing Duo for the moment. So we are in the good step to have a version 4 perhaps soon. I don't know if you have any question.
What is particularly difficult for Duo? Did you encounter something, or it was just the time that was not enough?
The time, I think it was not enough, but the difference with Duo is that it's not the same than the different provider, because you have we are going outside of the web views. And if you remember, we have a navigation control that we are taking care to avoid to go outside from the Passbolt URLs, if I can say like this. And it is something that we need to be very strict of the methodology that you want to put for Duo to be sure that we are going to a correct Duo URI, how we keep the control and so on. So we need to clarify some stuff for the Duo integrations.
What's been your favorite part of working on the Windows desktop app?
What is my?
Yeah, your favorite part, like
Actually, yeah, I think it is a complicated technology. So the favorite part is to discover the different stuff that they are not documented and to find a solution together. I mean, because many of the time is we have this kind of meeting that we cover things. And my favorite part during this development was more that we have this team cohesion, which one was very important with the front-end team. And I think is my favorite part for it.
Max said it was discovering the joys of Windows Hello.
Okay, regarding Windows Hello, it's a bit complicated today because we did a lot of investigation regarding that. As you know, 1Password has some visits. Luxembourg, and somebody wants to take the speak.
Go
Okay.
ahead. You can finish.
Okay, so Bitwarden and Son, they had a lot of throwback concerning the Windows Hello stuff, and today we need to find a clear solution, and I know that Cedric spoke about it, that he wants to discuss the strategy with Curve 53. So for the moment, Windows Hello is not yet in the plans for the moment.
Yeah, we did. There was like quite a bit of Pierre's work that was around the investigation around that, which is not shown, and it's actually like quite a bit of work that was done there, and like we were not sure that we have a safe way to store, for example, a symmetric key inside Windows Hello that would be liberated on biometric check, like we are doing, for example, on iOS devices. like on iOS device, you have like, or even Android, you have like a passwordless experience for a password manager. But we've seen, for example, with Bitwarden that he's not using the same technology than us. He's using Electron, but it shows that other applications were able to access stuff that were stored by Bitwarden in Windows Hello. So if an attacker basically is able to control another application, they will be able to, catch some stuff if they manage to authenticate the user. So it was, for us, not ideal. And we decided that it was too much of a risk to go ahead with that. And there is a Windows app security review plan in, I think, early next year. And part of this will be to, define an approach like for biometric check. It's the same, like there are things like if your machine is controlled by an administrator, Windows machine is provided to you by an administrator, but you're using Passbolt as a personal account in Passbolt, and like an administrator has access to the symmetric key that will liberate your private key. Do we have a problem with that? Do we need to inform users? These are considerations that basically prevented us from rolling this out. So, but Pierre did a lot of research there and found a lot of problems.
But we're not the only ones. So the review will be done by Cure53, as always.
Yeah, it's we have another one scheduled first before this one, so one at a time.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody else have anything to add or any questions?
Are you saying just for the Windows application or in general?
For both, I guess, yeah.
Well, I just want to say I think Passbolt's on a rocket ship here. The developers are amazing. You guys, following the forum, the three big things I think that were being requested of Passbolt were the TOTP, the password policies, and an application. And all I can say is bravo, gentlemen and ladies. The work that's been done is tremendous, and the user experience looks beautiful. I think that everyone's doing an amazing job, and from a user point of view, I appreciate these, community edition, and I thank you guys for offering that community edition. The truth is that I think we're on a rocket ship, and I think that the place that Passbolt is going is very special. You guys care about the users. You guys care about the information that's being disclosed. Everything is very open, and I think this is the proper way to go. I just want to say bravo and thank you to everyone.
Thanks, Bill.
Oh, it wasn't doing it. There we go.
It's not doing it.
You gotta do fireworks too. Hello? Oh, there you go. Fireworks. Well, thank you. Those were amazing and kind words. I'm sure everybody appreciates it, but it's always hard to find the words whenever you're being complimented. Hard to move past that even. Okay, so updates on future releases. What do we have coming in 4.4? Does anybody want to tell us about that?
One of the features that's planned for 4.4 is the ability to disable users. That's something that we have under the hood. It's already the backend implementation is already available and deployed for the 4.3, but the front end needs to implement that. And I know that Stefan has already advanced quietly on that. So it is highly probable that it's out on the 4.4. And this will enable to disable a user. So it will be not deactivating it. It's still visible to users. Of course, it cannot log in, it cannot act, that user cannot act in a Passbolt, but it's still able to share accesses with that user. So you can share a password, you can add it to a group or to a folder. All that mechanic still works. And when the user eventually comes back, because it's probably the user case that you have a user that it is out of a company or out of a department for a given time. When the user is back, nothing changed and the rights have been updated and he can or she can go on. That's one of the features.
I think we should have also the second part of TOTP. Correct me if I'm wrong, Benjamin. Because right now you can only view TOTP on the web, even though you can create them with the mobile app, the standalone and the TOTP associated to a password. But on the 4.4, you'll be able to do that with the web also. Am I right, Benjamin? Because you're the one working on it.
Yeah, you're right. That's scheduled for the 4.4.
Good.
And I know Ishan is working on adding WebAuthn as a MFA provider. It's part of the work that we are doing on passkeys and trying to, like shift gear on that topic. The mobile team has been working on adding Duo as MFA provider.
Yes, Duo, which was lacking until now, and also the ability to, yes, Max, you're right, actually, and the ability to export your private key from the mobile. Because when, if you had the experience when you want to connect the first time to the mobile app, you need to transfer your private key with the QR codes, but then they were locked inside the phone. So in case you lost your private key on the computer, now you can, and you have Passbolt up and running with biometry or even with the passphrase. If it's up and running on the mobile, you can retrieve the private key.
Yeah. And we are working on a more generic SSO provider as well. So to set up Passbolt to work with any road to compliance server. So that's a thing I'm working on at the moment. And
password expiry.
Not
sure if it will be for 4.4.
4.5, I think, but
yeah. But it's work in process.
Yeah, we have a lot on the Pro to define on terms of how this would look like. Like the community edition version is pretty straightforward and implemented. On the Pro, it's we have email notifications. Users will be notified that they have a password that is about to be expired. The delay is also parametrable. So this is something that's what we're on right now.
Is to solve one of the issue that was there in the first audit that we did, which is like notifying that password need rotation when somebody leaves a group or leave an organization. So be able to mark these credentials as needed to be retired or rotated.
Yeah, it's basically when they had access to the secret and they no longer have the permission. Yes. It flags the
in case they kept the copy locally or something like that. It's a good security feature.
Yeah. And for everybody.
Yeah.
Not just for the pro users.
Okay. We talked about a lot today. Of course, there'll be a full recap of the call on the community, probably early next week. And then you can view the call on YouTube whenever you'd like. If anybody has any additional questions, now's the time, or comments or anything they'd like to add. Now's the time. But otherwise, thank you everybody for talking. I really appreciate it. So
yeah, I would like to add one thing. Don't hesitate to connect to CakeFest tomorrow. I know Juan and Remy have a talk from Passbolt and lots of amazing speakers.
It's the day after tomorrow, but
It's the day after tomorrow. Sorry,
but
tomorrow there's already
the CakeFest happening right now, like today and tomorrow, and the last day is on Saturday. That's when we do the event in Luxembourg. So you can watch the stream. There will be workshop with like PHP core contributor, Mac stories, and a lot of super friendly and intelligent people. And you can watch the stream on YouTube.
And the Luxembourg event starts at 2 p.m. Luxembourg time. So I'm not sure what time that is here anymore.
Yes. EST.
7 a.m. for me.
Probably, yeah.
In India, that's 6 o'clock.
We're not good at converting time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.